I would like to begin this talk by taking a moment to show respect and recognition for the ancestral lands of the Manahoac people who were removed from Northern Virginia, but who live on through the land. I acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land and waterways and the people who have stewarded them throughout the generations. I respect the memory and history of the people who came before me and the land upon which I live. Our world has changed dramatically, especially in the last few months. This is a turbulent time. Climate change, social movements about unequal justice, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Our country, our world, is in a state of emergency. COVID-19 has complicated our lives and made us re-examine our personal and professional priorities. It has also forced us to create new procedures for our daily lives. I now carry a face covering with me wherever I go and am vigilant about washing my hands. The virus has also challenged us to reinvent how we establish and maintain relationships. Not just our personal relationships, but also how we connect with the world around us, including our relationships with cultural heritage. As we look toward an uncertain future, preserving our past, who we are, and what we've accomplished has never been more important. Through the simple acts of communication and collaboration, we can make a difference to protect our cultural treasures at home and at museums, libraries, archives, and heritage sites. Individuals and organizations around the world and in our own backyard are taking steps to promote awareness and preparedness against threats to the heritage we value. And as the collections management specialist with the Smithsonian's National Collections Program, I strive to do just that each day in partnership with my colleagues. Within the Smithsonian, we are all collection stewards, regardless of our titles, departments, or specialties. Through communication and collaboration, early and often, we make a difference for the collections that belong to this nation in the quiet times as well as the challenging ones. Let me take you back in time for a moment to one of those challenging days, February 10th, 2010. I was working at the National Air and Space Museum when, on that February day, one of our collection storage buildings partially collapsed due to 33 inches of snow and high winds. The building was already closed due to the snowfall, so thankfully no one was in the building at the time. When I heard the news, my heart sank. Our first instincts as collection stewards was to get on site and pull all the objects out of the building immediately. This is not what happened, and it was not the right way to be thinking. Human lives and safety come first. That was my baptism by snow into the world of collections emergency management. We were not permitted back into the building for several days. In the meantime, we got ourselves, our facility, and our plan ready for recovery of the collections. And 26 days later, we went to work. On March 18th, it was all hands on deck, and the recovery began and continued through several campaigns until the 10th of May. Within 3 months, we went from a stable building and happy standard operations to a barren concrete slab and months of documentation, stabilization, and reorganization of the collections. This was a severe but rare event. The building collapse was costly, but it was not on the same scale of what I'm about to describe. Since 2010, it has been, quote, an unprecedented decade of billion-dollar disasters, unquote, according to a report from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. This year, there have been 10 disasters to date that have cost $1 billion or more in recovery. The number and cost of disasters are multiplying over time due to a combination of exposure, vulnerability, and that climate change is increasing the frequency of some types of extremes that lead to billion-dollar disasters. These events affected not only homes, but also cultural sites. Considering this data and the building collapse, the Smithsonian has taken positive steps to prepare for collections emergencies that may be the result of these types of disasters. One significant step in 2016 included the creation of a team that I have the honor to lead, the Preparedness and Response in Collections Emergencies Team, PRICE. This is the first central collections emergency response team for the Smithsonian. This team of 8 cultural heritage professionals lead efforts to raise awareness of everyday risks as well as the extreme hazards and other challenges related to our changing social, cultural, public health, and environmental climate. The PRICE team teaches Smithsonian staff what they can do today to mitigate those risks and preserve the collections for many years to come. There are only 8 of us, and we cannot do the work of protecting and preserving millions of collection items at the Smithsonian on our own. We need partners. Each day we work to develop partnerships among our 6,000 colleagues, including staff from collections, security, facility, safety and health, exhibits, and many others. We learn with and from each other by actively listening to one another's perspectives and by doing joint training exercises and workshops. These are things we can do today to keep the collections and ourselves safe tomorrow. Through the 4 stages of the disaster life cycle, Price teaches workshop participants to mitigate risks by completing assessments in their storage and exhibit areas. Think, where are the problems, and what can I do to remedy or prevent them? For example, a leak occurs consistently near a basketry collection. The collection is composed of handmade baskets made from grasses, trees, vines, and bark. These items used to be sturdy enough to carry fruits and vegetables, but are now hundreds of years old, so the baskets are not as strong as they once were. Collection staff document the specific location of the leak, volume of water, and effect on the collections, and share that information with their facilities partners, so that they can make the necessary repairs. This simple act of communication supports mitigating this threat in the future. We prepare all staff by providing training, like teaching handling techniques for collection items. If that leak I mentioned suddenly becomes more severe, anyone, again regardless of their title or department, can be brought in to lend a hand once they've been given the opportunity to practice handling stunt double baskets at one of our structured training workshops. Think about how you would handle a basket you bought yesterday versus a basket that's a family heirloom. You will probably be a bit more careful with the heirloom. Through practice during the peaceful times, we are better prepared to pitch in to help each other during the challenging times. Price teaches staff how to respond safely and forensically. We cover topics ranging from re-entry of an affected building, documentation of the scene, and mental health in emergency response. For example, we ask, are you emotionally prepared for the chaotic scene you may walk into? Damaged shelving, bins of water containing your life's work, the fragile materials you've worked hard to protect? If you're not mentally prepared for that, it's okay. Be honest with yourself and your teammate. There are many roles to fill when it comes to the disaster life cycle. Recovery and triage techniques are taught with the acknowledgement that it could be years or even decades to complete this stage. What is triage? In the case of our basketry collection, triage may include removing excess water, securing any loose pieces, and placing the basket in a container so we don't need to touch it directly if we move it. Given the time constraints of responding to an emergency, the ultimate goal of triage is to stabilize. So why do we and many other organizations go through all these trainings when severe events are rare? Because supporting the safety and stability of the collections today ensures that we will still have them tomorrow. And we are not the only ones who care for our cultural heritage. We all have our own family treasures that we steward and hope to pass down to the next generation. These collection items and cultural heritage sites are powerful conduits that connect us to each other. There's an individual and a story behind every collection item, whether it's a specimen collected from deep below the ocean's waves or from outer space. A person had the foresight to collect and care for it behind the scenes. Every letter written, textile sewn, aircraft designed, orchid cultivated, and basket woven. That personal connection and story is part of what inspires us to work together every day to preserve the collections. Price and our colleagues continue to do our part to provide daily stewardship, positive communication, and opportunities for collaboration to preserve and protect the collections which we hold in trust for all of you. I wish that Price had been around when the storage building collapsed. We would have had a lot more tools in our toolbox to respond with. We did not predict the collapse of the building or the current pandemic, but we can prepare our cultural sites and homes for future emergencies by thinking ahead about new risks from our changing environment. Every step we take together now, no matter how small, helps to steel ourselves for whatever comes next.